Hello everyone, welcome to Talking Comics with yours truly, Julius Freeman. This is episode 3, titled Close But No Cigar. This video is part of a series covering the 10 years of my comic book journey. Today's video will cover the revised version of the Ghetto Dragon, drawn by Kim Jacinto with colors by Heather Breckel and lettering done by me. If you recall from the previous video, the LJ version or the previous version was produced so that I could submit it to Image Comics. So this was no different. This was the goal was the same. I was to produce not these pages, but the book, and then submit it to Image, hoping that they would produce or publish the book. But as you will learn in the video, that didn't happen. So if you recall from the previous video, LJ dropped out of the project after he got his girlfriend pregnant, and there was an opening for a new artist. The letterer of the previous version, Heather Breckel, her and I had developed a healthy working relationship outside of the Ghetto Dragon, so I emailed her one day asking if she knew of anyone available for work, paid work, by the way. She got back to me and told me about an online comics commune she was a part of called Studio for Hire. She gave me the link to the website, and I have to admit, I was pretty impressed with what I found. The website was essentially a studio, an online studio of sorts, where aspiring pencilers, inkers, letterers, editors, and cover artists sold their services under the Studio for Hire banner. You pick your team, and then Studio for Hire would then have them commit to the project until completion. It was a great, I mean, it was fantastic, to be honest with you. It was, like I said, a virtual studio for indie comic creators with smaller budgets. So it worked out great for me. It was like, it was a dream come true. Not a dream come true. It was more like a godsend, that I found, that I stumbled upon this website. So anyway, I found Kim Jacinto's profile on the site, and I really liked the samples, which were really impressive. For those of you who don't know Kim Jacinto, he's a superstar Marvel artist today, but back then he was a guy starting out, so I got lucky that I got to work with him before he became the superstar that he is today. Well, anyway, it's neither here or there. I'll talk more about it in the end of the video. So I chose him to be the new artist for the Ghetto Dragon, while Heather became the colorist. The people of Studio for Hire then sent me an invoice breaking down the cost of production alongside a contract to sign. The entire thing totaled about, I think it was $1,200 for a 22-page, fully inked and colored comic book, which was a freaking great deal. So once I supplied the first payment, Kim and Heather went right to work up until midway through, when I got a very or I just received an email from Kim and Heather explaining to me that they hadn't been paid in months. Yeah, months. So you can imagine my disappointment, because the contract I had signed stated that the $600 I had to pay up front would go to the artists working on the book with Studio for Hire, taking the percentage of the amount since they were the middleman. I knew that this was a big, huge, fat red flag. Long story short, it turns out that the founder of Studio for Hire pocketed the money he got from his clients and stiffed the artists who worked under his banner. As you can imagine, the project was dropped altogether because I couldn't afford to pay out an extra $600 on top of the $1,200 I was to pay to produce the book. So in other words, I couldn't really afford $1,800 at the time. This was long before Indiegogo and Kickstarter, so there's no way I could have raised that money even if I wanted to at the time. This was definitely the hardest pill to swallow, because the pages you're about to see for the first time here on my channel, in my opinion, were good enough for Image. Personally speaking, I know I'm biased because it's my book, it's my story, but I hope that the pages you do see will prove me right. And if you don't think so, hey, leave a comment. Leave a comment. Let me know that you think these pages suck, which I'm pretty sure some of you will, and that's okay. So let's start with page 1. So if you recall from the previous video, um, this is the exact same story that LJ drew, only the difference is I revised the script. I actually took the time to, I think I wrote 3 more edits before I sent the script to Kim before he produced it, because I wanted to raise my level, I guess, because when I saw Kim's samples, I was like, I need to have a really solid script for this artist, because he's gonna turn it up to 11. So my script was 10, his art would turn it up to 11, in other words. What I'm also going to do for this video is I'm going to compare and contrast. So I'm going to show the previous version and compare it to the new version, so that way you guys can have a point of reference. Just something new. I'm going to try it out. If you guys don't like it, hey, like I said, leave a comment, let me know, hey, you know what, this compare and contrast thing, it wasn't that great. Just show us the pages next time. Fine. So, as you can see here, I started the original, not the original, the revised. I gotta get my words right. The previous version started with the water tower. Now, when I started working with Kim and I was revising the script, I thought that this water tower I realized it had nothing to do with the story. Nothing. Zero. This is the only time you get to see the water tower in the story. So I decided, okay, if this water tower is not going to play an integral part in the story, then I got to get rid of it. So I changed it to this. So in this first panel here, there's a hand holding the brush, spreading paste onto a wall, then the roller glues on paper. And then we zoom out a bit to show our hero on the harness at night on the side of a building, leaving the reader wondering what the hell is this guy doing, in other words, right? Our hero then turns on his night vision goggles, clicks the latch off, and swoops down to the ground. But in the end of the page, let me zoom in here so you can see, he gets caught. He gets caught red-handed, freeze! Those are the cops right there, off camera. And if you look at the artwork, man, when I first got this page, I was like, oh, this book is going to be so dope. Right off the bat, on this first page, the reader is now vested in the story, and hopefully wants to turn the page to find out what happens next. It's a much stronger opening than the previous version for sure. And I took this playbook idea, this mini cliffhanger idea from Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter was the Marvel editor-in-chief, I think in the late 70s and early 80s. I could be wrong. You could correct me in the comments if you like. But he said that the end of every page of every comic book should be some kind of cliffhanger of some sort, because you want the reader to keep turning the page until the end of the issue, which I thought was sound advice, and I implemented that in this version. So moving on to the next page, we see this beautiful, wonderful looking splash page where our hero runs away from the cops who busted him, and here in the foreground he's running away, and here are the cops. Let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see closely. So yeah, here he is in the foreground, and here are the 2 cops taking chase, and this one here is radioing in the backup, letting the police, his other partners in the street, know that they're chasing the guy who vandalized a federal government building. Gorgeous page. I really love how this page came out. Kim Jacinto hit it out of the park. The lettering is 10 times better in this version as well, and I think you'll agree that this looks more like a comic book you'll find in your local comic shop. If you look at the previous version, you'll see that it's not the same. It doesn't have the same oomph to it, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It leaves the reader not really caring. Really, the reader will read this part and say, "So what? What's the big deal? I don't get what the big deal is." But in this version, the stakes are a little higher because the cops are in chase, leaving the reader wanting to turn the page to find out what happens next to our hero. However, I still made a rookie mistake. I still failed to inform the reader the significance of this building. If you recall, this is supposed to be a federal government building. What I could have done here was have one of the cops in the background say something like culprit fleeing the federal building or something to that effect, to at least inform the reader just how dire our hero's situation is. Because as you know, especially if you're a graffiti artist, and I could be wrong, maybe you guys can provide me links in the comments below if you like. It's extremely difficult to do a graffiti piece on a federal building because, as you know, there's cameras everywhere. Agents are walking in and out. It's constantly on watch by security guard, top-notch security guard, ex-military. So I would imagine it's very difficult. So I failed here as a writer to let the reader know just how dire our hero's situation is, that he was able to get away with doing a graffiti piece on a federal government building, especially with an occult symbol like the all-seeing eye and with the message "Think it ain't illegal yet," which, if I'd done my job right, would have left the reader even more excited to find out what happens next. So, writers, if you're watching this video, if you want some advice from me, edit, edit, edit. Don't be afraid to edit your script until you get it to where you want it to be. Just my own advice. So moving on to page 3. So I somewhat attempted to channel Will Eisner here with the lettering, but I failed miserably, as you can see. Although this was my first attempt at lettering a comic book, I must admit I did a pretty good job of it in my first try. The page ends with our hero coming face to face with the hound from hell. Not literally a hound from hell, but you get the point. Compared to the previous version, see, same idea, but in the last panel our hero is being chased by a dog. Again, where did that dog come from? I don't let the reader know where he came from. The reader doesn't know if he's running through an alley or someone's backyard. It's very unclear where our hero is running to because it's in silhouette. A great shot, but again, it doesn't give the reader the setting as to where he's at, if that makes sense. So for the revised version, I decided to leave the reader wondering how our hero will get away from this new obstacle, given the fact that he lands on someone's backyard with a menacing dog. So now our hero has the cops hot on his trail, but now he has to worry about this menacing dog, which ups the ante a bit. So moving on to page 4, where our hero runs for his life from the dog in panel 1 up here, then hops over the fence where the dog is damn near close to biting his leg off. And these 3 panels here, I have 3 random characters talking about the reptilian conspiracy. And let me zoom in here so you guys could read. You guys can read it yourselves. In case you guys don't know what the reptilian conspiracy is, Google it sometime and revel in its hilariousness, because it is a stupid conspiracy, in my opinion. I know there's people out there who might believe it, but I think it's stupid. I'm also emulating Alan Moore here with these 3 panels where the camera is locked into place and the characters within the panels move around. It's one of the many comic tropes I enjoy writing. Now let's compare this to the previous version, and you will see, whoops, I keep going backwards, and you'll see it's a big old change. It's a huge change from the previous version. I felt that this scene here, him hiding in the bushes, was unnecessary. It didn't need to be there. It just kind of bogged the story down, in my opinion, and that's why I changed it to this version. I felt it was a lot smoother. It kept the story going. You know, I added a little joke in the end there, so that way it's a little light. And again, it's a world of difference in terms of art and style. And page 5, if you recall in the previous version of this story, in the beginning of this version, the reader is aware that the cops did not see our hero commit the crime of vandalizing the federal courthouse building. So in this scene, when the cop does catch him in the alley, to the reader, it doesn't make sense that a cop would find him there, and how would he know what he looked like since they have no description of the suspect? This version is a lot, it makes a lot more sense that the cop found him in this alleyway because he has a description of the suspect. He probably more than likely knew, okay, he might end up here if he's coming from this part of the city. And so this page is still great. I mean, these 2 panels right here were freaking awesome, absolutely awesome. And in my opinion, I think Kim's interpretation of this page came out a lot stronger than LJ's version, because I didn't really change too much script-wise in this page. And again, you know, Kim's art is just top notch. It just popped with every page. And Heather's colors too. I got to give Heather Breckel credit for her colors. She did a wonderful job coloring this book. So moving on to the next page, where our hero runs in front of some houses and then runs to a parking lot of a supermarket down here with the crow in the foreground there cawing at him. And he runs to the back to find his duffel bag. And if we compare this to the previous version, you see that he's doing the same thing here, just in a different angle. But if you recall in the previous video, I failed to notify the reader where he has run off to in this panel. In Kim's pages, you can clearly see that he's running to a supermarket, whereas in the previous version, I don't indicate a thing, which more than likely would have confused the reader. These last 2 panels here were redundant, so I deleted them from the revised script and ended the page with our hero finding the duffel bag. What's inside the duffel bag? And once they turn the page, they discover that it's a change of clothes. Let me zoom in here so you can check it out. So it's a change of clothes. He changes from his ninja outfit into his homeless clothes. This was a great panel layout from Kim. I really love this layout here. I really love this insert panels in this splash page. I'm a big fan of that. That's another one of my favorite comic tropes. When I write comics, I prefer the artist do as much as that's possible, but I know it can be overkill if I let him go crazy with it. But yeah, in this version, he changes into his homeless clothes, sits down, puts his head down, and bam, cop finds him, but the cop doesn't recognize him because the suspect the cops are looking for is wearing a ninja outfit. So our hero is safe. Now, if we look at the previous version, we see that he doesn't change into another set of clothes and remains dressed in his ninja outfit. Also, this figure in the foreground here is supposed to be the cop, but again, how is the reader supposed to know that? So that's why when I revised the script, I made sure to let Kim know to indicate that this was a cop, so that way the reader can know and can see that, oh crap, is our hero in trouble? Is he gonna get caught? But he doesn't. The cop ends up leaving and leaving the reader going, whew, man, this guy has planned this out to a T. And so we move on to the next page, where our hero is now resting easy, knowing that he's safe from being captured by the cops. He stares onto the starry sky, accepting the mission at hand. I added this page in the revised version because I felt I needed to slow the story down a bit after the chase scene. These 2 panels here are a nice transition from night to day, ending the scene with our hero being woken up by the store manager. So if you look in the previous version, you'll see that I split this page into 2 pages. So I took this panel and I kept it here, but I got rid of these 2 panels because, again, they were redundant. They weren't needed. They were not redundant. I'm sorry, not redundant. They just were unnecessary panels that just bogged down the story. I didn't need them at all. And so these 2 panels ended up in the next page, which was page 9 down here. If you'll see, let me zoom in closely so you can see. So yeah, down here, they ended up down here, and I added these 4 panels in the revised version. And so in this first panel here, our hero gives the store manager the finger for giving him a hard time. And these 3 panels I added in the revised version because I thought they were cool at the time. I had convinced myself that these panels were necessary to the story, but after looking at them recently, I can now see that they were, again, unnecessary to the story overall, because the character in the car talking on the phone is the chief of police investigating the vandalization of the federal government building, and we all know that the FBI handles such things. So it doesn't make sense at all, logically speaking anyway, to have these panels here with this character. If anything, I should have had an FBI agent on this panel, because you'll meet the FBI agent later in the story, as you'll see in the end of the video. So moving on to the next page, page 10. Check out this beautiful panel. I really loved how this panel came out, even though the artwork is a little because I think at this point Kim wasn't paid yet, and he was kind of, embittered, but he didn't let me know yet. He didn't let me know until after page 13 is when he emailed me to let me know what was going on. But I think this was a one of his, like, I'm just gonna do this real quick because maybe he was frustrated with Studio for Hire. I don't know. I can't speculate on that. But you find out that our hero lives in a rather nice looking apartment complex. And if we compare it to the previous version, we see a total opposite of how I introduced the complex. You only get the clue here, which is the Terra Vista sign here, but that's the panel overall is too small. The reader doesn't get a sense of where they're at either. And again, the only clue I give is the sign in the foreground here, which doesn't really help much at all in terms of the story. But in the revised version, it's clear as day. So our hero then enters the apartment, showers, lays in bed. So this is a great page overall. It keeps the story going, and now the reader is left wondering, who the hell is this guy and what's his story? And if you look again closely at the previous version, you see that the establishment shot, or the establishment panel I should say, is too small, and the last two panels are too big. So I decided to invert it and make sure that the establishing shot was huge and the rest were small, and I think that helped the page tremendously. And next page is the outside of the police department, and again, although this page is fantastic, and given the fact that in the previous version I don't indicate that this is a police department, only with this cop down here, but the reader still doesn't know, they still don't know where they're at. And whereas this one they do, but again I messed up, because when the federal building gets vandalized, local police are not called in. It's the FBI who gets called in. So this was a mistake on my part, but hey, you live and learn, right? So moving on, we are introduced to, if you remember, we are introduced to the cop with the glasses. He was bald, if you remember. And here's the FBI agent in charge of the investigation. And here they keep talking, and then this panel, this panel here was still a travesty, even to this day. Here, I'm telling the reader what happened the night before with our hero. What I could have done here was I could have produced maybe 2 or 3 pages of a flashback scene where I show the reader exactly what our hero did, because this panel here, he explains everything. He explains exactly what he did. So it would have been better if I had just narration boxes, maybe, with juxtaposed with images of our hero doing the things that the chief of police here is describing. And I think if I had done that, it would have been a lot more effective. And I'm gonna guess too that if an image editor or someone in Image liked this book and contacted me, they probably would have told me the same thing. But hey, I could be wrong. I'm speculating at this point. So yeah, here's the protagonist. I'm sorry, not the protagonist, the antagonist of the story. And we move on to the next page, and the last page, page 13. This was the last page that I got from Kim before he left the project. So ironically, both versions, both the previous version and this version, ended on page 13, believe it or not. LJ left the project on the very same page number after he told me he got his girlfriend pregnant. He had to leave the project. And then this one, after this page, that's when Kim and Heather sent me the email letting me know that they hadn't been paid. So it's very ironic in a way, in a lot of ways, kind of creepy too, that it ended on page 13, which is known as the most unlucky number in the world. So maybe the forces out there beyond our control decided to play a little joke on me. Who knows? So yeah, guys, here it is. This is the revised version of the Ghetto Dragon that I wanted to submit to Image Comics, drawn by Kim Jacinto and colored by Heather Breckel, produced all the way back to 2011, back in 2011, I should say. Same exact story, just different takes from different artists with some edits to the script on my end. I must say, working with Kim Jacinto was a great experience. Believe it or not, I knew right off the bat that Kim was going to become a huge superstar in the comic book industry because of the pages he was giving me. He just oozed talent and skill. He made it look so easy. And so it wasn't a surprise to me that he got picked up by Marvel Comics. Not in the least. He just had that it factor, man. And I knew it was only a matter of time because he understood the rules of sequential storytelling. And I hope to one day work with him again. And if you want some more advice from me, make sure you hire an artist who understands the rules of sequential storytelling because they will make your job as a writer so much easier. Personally speaking, this version of the Ghetto Dragon had the most potential of getting picked up by Image Comics because of Kim's pencils and of Heather's colors. But unfortunately, the founder of Studio for Hire, being the crook that he was, inadvertently put a stop to all that, which sucks because I feel that Ghetto Dragon could have been introduced earlier and a lot more people would know about the Ghetto Dragon today if the Studio for Hire owner wasn't a crook. But it is what it is. You can't really change the past. You have to focus on the present so that way you can have a better future. That's just that's how I look at things, and I think that's how I was able to continue on pushing myself and trying to get my work out there. And now in 2020, with the year of clearer vision, I can finally see that it's time to put this stuff out there. It's time to look like a fool and just do it because I think that's the only way I'm going to get noticed, or not just myself, but my work is the only way my work will get noticed. So I hope this video shows you that there should be no shame in learning from your mistakes, because I made a lot of mistakes in this. Even though Kim's pages were great, I still made mistakes as a writer. It's a good rule of thumb to learn from your mistakes because it's the only way you're going to mature, not only as an artist or a writer or a creator, but as a human being as well. So what did you guys think of this version? Let me know in the comments below. Don't be shy. And don't forget to sign up for the Ghetto Dragon pre-launch emo list on Indiegogo. If you sign up now, you will be put on the list where you will get your book early before anyone else. Details to come when I launch the project. So sign up today and help make it happen for the Ghetto Dragon Book 1 No Good Deed. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and tap the notification bell so that you can join me in this fantastic voyage of my comics journey where we learn from my mistakes and explore the unknown realm of the comics medium. Stay safe, be excellent to each other, and peace be with you. So I leave you now with the commercial for the Ghetto Dragon No Good Deed, Book 1.
Welcome to the pre-launch of the Ghetto Dragon Book 1 No Good Deed, a 60-plus page story about a young man named Matt Guerra, who saves an underage girl from being kidnapped by a heartless, gruesome gang named Los Valientes, who will stop at nothing to protect their street cred. Follow Matt as he pays the consequences of his good deed with his fists, causing Los Valientes to turn their sights on his family. Does our hero back down, or does he stand his ground? Join us in this martial arts adventure that involves action, drama, a little romance, and tragedy. Follow Julius Freeman on Twitter and Facebook for the latest updates. Also, check out his YouTube channel and subscribe where you can join him in exploring the rich history behind the creation of the Ghetto Dragon. Sign up to the pre-launch today where you will have first dibs of receiving your book. Help make it happen for the Ghetto Dragon, Book 1, No Good Deed. You won't regret it.